So, you're a disposable user and you've just found out from either a newsletter from your online shop that you're ordering your disposables from, or from the brick and mortar shop, whether it be a corner shop, whether it be a supermarket, or whether it more than likely be your local vape shop, that, yeah, in a couple of days' time, the sales of single-use disposable vapes in the UK is going to be banned. And you're wondering, right, what the fuck do I do now? So this video is going to be appearing in a blog. Yeah, I know, I have very rarely done an actual blog on the vapingwithvic.co.uk website, but this one warrants it, and I'm actually thinking about doing a little bit, not too regular, maybe one blog every couple of weeks or something, to do with the industry, nothing to do with reviews, just about the industry itself. And this one's a big one. It would amaze people out there how many people actually don't know that the disposable ban is incoming. There is, depending on what numbers you believe, anywhere between 4 to 6.5 million vapors in the United Kingdom. Now again, depending on what numbers you believe, there's either 1.8 million disposables being thrown in the trash every week, or, according to the British Standards Council, the BSC, upwards of 8 million disposables a week being thrown in the trash. Now, it's no secret to anyone out there, whether you be a advanced hobbyist, sorry Stu, I know you're watching this, advanced or hobbyist vapor like me, or whether you be a pod vapor like this, that disposables have basically taken over. They have. They've taken over the entire industry in the UK. Depending on what number you want to believe, I personally go for somewhere in the region of 5 million vapors in the UK. The vast bulk of that 5 million are using disposables. They're using disposables. Even if you go halfway between what was Action on Smoking and Health's original estimate in 2020, end of 2023, that there's 1.8 million disposables being thrown in the trash, or you go for the current estimate by the British Standards Council of just over, it's either just over or just under 8 million being thrown in the trash, you're going to have to look at the amount of vapors in the UK and say, right, okay, 95, roughly speaking, % of those people are now on disposable vapes, either using 1 disposable a day or 2 disposables a day, probably using 1 a day at 20 milligrams. That's what they're probably using. Now that we've got that groundwork laid out, you, the disposable user that stumbled on this blog on the Vaping with Vic website, because it's going to be Google search that's going to be running traffic into this particular video on the blog as well. You, the disposable user, you probably came across this blog maybe January the 3rd, 4th or 5th. Not January, June 3rd, 4th or 5th. And you're sitting there wondering, what the fuck am I going to do now? Doesn't end with disposables, you know. You don't need to climb up to something like this, right? You don't, since I've got this in my hand. I know that kind of vaping scares the fuck out of a lot of people that just puff away on disposables. There is a step up. There is definitely a step up. And if you read the blog that this video goes with, there's a little bit more detail about cost savings, about e-liquid variations and all the rest of it, but we'll run through the basics in the video as well. This is a pod kit. This is the XROS 5 from Vaporesso. This is also a pod kit. This is the Pixo Neo from Aspire. This is also a pod kit. This is the, I forgot the bloody name of it now, there's that many out there, as the Pulse Pro. The review just went up today, I think. Again, from Aspire. This is also a pod kit. This is the Pure Max 2 from SX Mini. They all look different. They're all made by different manufacturers. They're all different shapes, different sizes, different colours, but they've got actually three things in common. Doesn't matter which one you go for as a disposable user. All of these have got three things in common. We'll pick on the XROS 5 here, because this is going to be one of the common ones. Number one, they are rechargeable. There's a USB-C socket on the side of this. If we look at the PureMax V2, the USB-C socket's on the bottom, so the battery's rechargeable. Your single-use disposable, once you throw it in the bin, it's not rechargeable, even though the battery that's in the disposable is a lithium-ion cell. It's technically a rechargeable battery, but to save time, save costs, and save on manufacturing, the manufacturer of that disposable that you're using chooses not to put a rechargeable port, whether it be an old school micro USB or whether it be the new variant USB-C in that disposable, because that USB-C socket and that USB-C charge board costs 50 cents or 90 cents. Or in some cases £1 if it's or $1, sorry, if it's a fast charger. So they just rip out the charge circuit, rip out the USB-C, and put a rechargeable battery that you can't recharge into the disposable that you then got to throw away. So the battery part's rechargeable. Number two, again, for all these pods that you're going to jump onto, they're called pod kits because of this. This is a pod. It's a small tank, essentially. They're called pods, just to make it sound cool, I suppose. But this is a small tank, right? And this is the one in the XROS 5 from Vaporesso. Notice Urus mint cream, which leads me on to the third one, but after I've had a few vapes. Oh! Pulse from Aspire. Again, different colour, different shape, but the idea is exactly the same. It's a pod that clips into the battery. What's in this? Black Vine, Rochefort Project. The SX Mini PureMax 2. Same idea. It's a pod. So the battery part's separate, which basically means when this thing burns out, you don't need to throw the whole thing away. You keep the battery and throw away the pod. And I know what's in this, it's tobacco. So that is similarity number two. Similarity number three in whatever pod kit you decide to go for. Now, this is going to be true for 95% of the pods. It all depends on what kind of pod you're going to buy. Whether it's a refillable pod, or whether it's a pre-filled pod. I would suggest going for a refillable. And here's the singular reason. When this pod runs out, right, when it runs out, if this was a disposable or a single-use pod, I would then throw the whole pod in a bin. But this is refillable, so all I need to do is this. And again, all these pods refill in different ways, but they all refill. Twist that, pull that down, and there's the refill hole right there. I get my bottle of juice, shove it in, give it a squeeze, the pod fills up with liquid, push that over, twist that round, and that's me ready to use it again. Now, depending on what e-liquid that you buy, it all depends on the liquid that you buy. You can use a pod for anywhere upwards of a week. If it's a really sweet e-liquid, it's probably going to be less than a week. If it's not a sweet liquid, you may be able to push the pod to maybe a week to a week and a half, if you're lucky. But generally speaking, pods last about 4 or 5 days, because liquids these days generally tend to be on the sweet side for the mass market. So there's the three things in common. Doesn't matter what pod kit you go for, whether you go for Vaporesso, whether you go for Aspire, whether you go for the SX Mini variant, or whether you go for the OXVA variant, they all have three things in common. Battery's rechargeable, so keep charging it back up, don't throw it in the bin. The pod clips in to the actual battery housing, so when the pod burns out, eventually, probably in about 4 or 5 days time, throw the pod in the bin, fill a new pod up, and start vaping on the same battery. And number three, you can experiment with your own well, not your own liquids, but liquids that you buy from a vape shop, or online from the likes of eSig1, from the likes of Vaping 101, from the likes of Washington Vapes, from the likes of Vape Club, all the major shops, online shops in the UK, they're all refillable. Again, make sure you're actually buying a refillable pod kit. Doesn't matter what shop you go to, again, Washington Vapes, eSig1, Vaping 101, they will tell you in the description of the pod if it's a refillable or if it's pre-filled. Avoid the pre-fills. Get the refillables. Solely for that thing about liquids. There is hundreds, there's probably thousands by now, but I'm going to play it safe and say hundreds of different e-liquid flavours out there, just to give you an idea. This is a burley tobacco, and it's a naturally extracted tobacco. It's not the cheapy artificial stuff. So the flavouring from this has been cold extracted from actual tobacco leaves, so it tastes a hell of a lot mellower than the crap that you get from Hang Seng over in China. What else have I got here? I have also got this. Here we go. Notus Eurus, big bottle I know, but I go through a lot of this. Notus Eurus, it's a mint cream based flavour from Rochford Project, a British based e-liquid company. I've also got, I think that's it actually. Well, I've got this, but this is just an old bottle filled with my own peach custard. You can actually make your own e-liquids. I wouldn't suggest going into that right now because you're just coming off of disposables, but you can make your own e-liquids. And there's hundreds of different flavours out there, whether you're a fruit fan, whether you're a bakery fan, you want an apple pie crumble or apple crumble based e-liquid, or you want a custard based flavoured e-liquid, you want to go for straight fruit, just straight fruit, or a mixture of fruits, or you want somewhere in between. The beauty of having a refillable pod kit is you can refill this pod up with different flavours once you've vaped the existing pod dry. So there's not much trace of the previous flavour left in there, but you can experiment with different flavours. Also, just to round this whole thing up, not only can you try different flavours in here, you're going to be saving a shitload of money. And here's why. Let's say on average you're spending, call it £3. Or no, in fact, it's very rare to get a single disposable in a vape shop for £3 unless they're trying to get rid of them very quick. But let's say on average, before the ban started to hit, you were spending £5 on a disposable every day. That's £35 in a week. Yeah, I know, it mounts up. But here's the thing. You buy an XROS 5, and I'm not telling you to buy one, but it's just one that I have on the table. You buy an XROS 5 for about 15, 20 quid, let's say, right? It already comes with a pod, an empty pod, in the battery, and it comes with a spare pod already in the box. So that's you get 2 pods already with the bit of kit. So you buy the XROS 5, or you buy the Pulse Pro, or you buy the Pixel Neo, one of the mainstream based ones. I wouldn't recommend going for the Pure Max 2 because this one's about 30 quid. It's one of the upper end more expensive ones, but you go for any mainstream one, whether it be from OXVA, OXVA, Vaporesso, Aspire, Smock, Geek Vape, the ones that bounce between 10 to around about £15, sometimes £19.99, but usually about £15. So you buy the kit for 15 quid and you get 2 bottles of liquid for £1.99 each, and you buy all this online, right? That's under 30 quid. That's well under, in fact it's under 25 quid. Now yes, the initial outlay is round about the same as you buying a disposable every day for a whole week. But here's the thing. This, along with this, generally speaking, they come with a spare pod in the box. So when the first pod burns out, you've already got a spare one to bounce onto, and when you start using the spare one, that's when you go back to your local vape shop or online, wherever you bought the original pod kit from, and you buy a blister pack of 3 pods for under a tenner. Now, considering that these pods can last upwards of a week, 3 pods under a tenner, and that'll last you for round about a week. No, 3 weeks, sorry, just under a month. You can see the savings almost immediately. So instead of you spending £35, roughly speaking, every single week of the month, You're only having an initial outlay of under 30 quid to get the pod kit and 2 bottles of liquid. And then all you need to do after that first week is buy, maybe, depending on how much you vape, 2 bottles of liquid a week and a pack of pods for under a tenner every 2 to 3 weeks. You're going to be saving literally hundreds of pounds in the first 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months, literally hundreds of pounds by switching onto this. Now it does mean you're going to have to go through the whole fiddly part of filling these things up with e-liquid. But I'm a reviewer, in case you're a disposable viewer watching this. I'm a reviewer. I've reviewed all of these things. So if you head on to the Rumble channel for Vaping with Vic, you'll more than likely find the review for the bit of pod kit that you're interested in buying, and you'll see how to fill it. You'll see how to use it. With the variable power thing that some of these pod kits have got, like the XROS 5, they look confusing, but after the first day or so, you'll be more than used to using it. And also, as a wrap up for this video, there's airflow control. That little thing there moves up and down. You can either go for a tighter draw, like a roll up, or go for a much looser draw like you're used to with the likes of the disposables for a filtered cigarette style draw. So there we go, folks. Again, this is a very, very short for me. This is a very short video, but the blog that this video is going to be embedded in for the vapingwithvic.co.uk website, the blog is going to go into much more detail about the cost savings, about the different varieties of e-liquids that you've got. Much bigger detail than this video is able to do. So yeah, by the time you're probably watching this, you're more than likely a disposable user and you're wondering, what the fuck are you going to do now? Well, I've given you some options. You can either go into your local vape shop, because they'll probably have the latest Aspire e-cig Pulse Pro or the Pixo Neo in stock, or they'll probably have, more than likely have actually, the Vaporesso XROS 5 or XROS 5 Mini. Or if you want to save a little bit more money, you can buy it online from the likes of eCig 1, Vaping 101, Washington Vapes. Maybe not Vape Club, because they're a little bit on the expensive side, but you know, Washington Vapes, Vaping 101, eCig 1, all the major online shops in the UK, and because they sell the pod kit online, they will also sell the replaceable pods online as well. And most of these online vape shops, like eCig 1, Vaping 101, Washington Vapes, etc., they also sell the 10ml bottles of pre-nicked liquid. Now, it's up to you what you want to do with the liquid side of things. You've been used to vaping 20mg nic salts, just flat out max 20mg nic salt in your disposable. I would recommend stepping it down one notch to 16mg if the online vape shop is able to supply it, because the one thing that you'll notice with bottled e-liquid, it tends to be a little bit more purer when it comes to the nic salt type, or the nicotine salt type that's in the bottle, which means it's going to be absorbed a hell of a lot faster into your bloodstream compared to the disposable, where the nic salt isn't quite as fresh. I think I can say that isn't quite as fresh. So I wouldn't go for 20mg bottled nic salt. I would step it down to 16. Just for the first week. If you find yourself chain vaping a lot, then step it back up to 20mg nic salt, because you obviously want the nic. Anyway, that's it from me. If you are new to me and you don't know what the fuck this is all about, yeah, this video's on YouTube, so the YouTube channel for Vaping with Vic basically covers the live shows to do with vaping, information videos like this one, and the What's Up Sunday update vlog, and any kind of news that's coming out for the industry. The main review channel is actually over on rumble.com, and the reviews also go up on the X platform. Link to all the relevant social media stuff is down there in the description. That's it from me, folks. As always, thanks for watching and have a good one.